Hello guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a more serious sit down talk about kind of video. As you can tell by the title, this is a very serious subject we are going to be covering today. One I did not ever think in my life I would ever talk about how a teacher had murdered someone. I do want to give out a little warning. This is going to be talking about things that have to do with, shooting, murder, domestic violence, things like that. So if it is a sensitive subject for you, please at any point, if you need to stop this video or anything like that, please by all means go ahead and do that. Or if you're not comfortable watching the rest of the video, then go ahead and just click out. This is, like I said, one of the cases I never thought I would ever be talking about on my channel, especially of it coming from a former teacher of mine. This is a very serious case, and we're just going to be getting into all of the details, everything that led up to this, and everything that is now leading on forward with this case. So without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and jump right into this video. If you do like it, please give it a big thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button so you always can watch some new videos of mine. Click the notification bell so you get a notification every single time I upload a new video. And I'm sure I will probably state this again, but if you want any updates on this case, I will be doing a couple of updates within the case, and especially if the case goes to trial, I would be doing updates on those. So if you want to keep up with this case, then please by all means feel free to subscribe. But let's go ahead and get right into this video. So I put my hair up because I needed it out of my face, but I just want to say two things really quick. One, which is the most important one. I just want to say I'm very sorry for everyone involved. I'm sending my condolences and prayers to the victim's family, friends, everyone like that. I am very sorry for the mother who is currently going through what she's going through, because she was also a victim in this, but luckily survived. I know she's probably scared right now. Rest in peace to the stepson of his that was murdered. Of course, her actual biological son, Joseph. Rest in peace to him. May he be doing well out there. And it's very sad that it had to come to this because he was so young. And I just wanted to send my condolences and prayers. I know that there is not any word that could just help how you feel right now. So I just wanted to say I'm sorry you're going through what you're going through, and hopefully justice is served. Second thing is I have my fan on. It's on the lowest setting, so hopefully it is not too loud. But we're gonna go ahead and get into this case. So I'm just gonna read some of the things I have on this paper here, which are about the case, and then I also have like a whole thing on my iPad that we're gonna dig into. So of course, like I said earlier, maybe I didn't, I don't know. His name is Stephen Woods. That is, of course, the perpetrator of the crime, the suspect, things like that. He has a total of, let's see, 1, 2, 4, 5 charges on him currently. All of them are felonies. I just want to put that out there. They are all felonies. So the first charge is first degree murder, which is a felony A. He also has a first degree assault of someone, or like a special victim kind of thing. I believe that is also a felony A. He has 2 counts of armed criminal action, which, if I remember, those might be felony E's, if I remember correctly. And then he is also being charged with unlawful use of a weapon, which I believe is a felony U, which means unclassified. For those of you who don't know anything about like felonies, laws, things like that, I just recently found this out. Felony A is not good. That is the highest class. That is something that you do not want to have. And also I found out that you don't want to have a felony unclassified, because being it's unclassified, it's not good. So like I stated, he was an old middle school teacher of mine. He was an ISS teacher. And basically the duties of what he was supposed to do was, of course, watch over his kids in school suspension, make sure we're not on our phones, anything like that. If we're on our computers, then we don't need to be on gaming websites, like Kizzy, playing Papa's games, things like that in middle school. If we were on our computers, we were supposed to be doing the work that we were assigned, or if we had work on paper, we were supposed to be doing that for our classes. Some kids were just put in there for like the rest of the class period. It was also like a recovery room kind of thing. So let's say the teacher sent you out, okay, you need to go to the recovery room. You would go in there until the end of the class period. And then the next class, you would go to your regular classroom. So basically it's just things like that, watching over us, making sure we're doing what we're supposed to do, not on our phones, things like that, not goofing around, not supposed to be talking unless he asks us to or lets us, pretty much, you know, not supposed to be talking to anyone in there, figuring out why they're in there and all that. And then he would also take us to lunch on one of the lunch periods, so of course that we could eat. He's worked at other places as well, other than just my middle school. I'm not gonna disclose my middle school just because I don't want them to start getting a bunch of prank calls or calls asking, oh, did he used to work here? Like, and just all this thing, because people are crazy nowadays. So I don't know what some people would do with that information. So I'm just gonna keep that to myself. And then, like I said, he's worked in school districts most of his career. He used to be, a U.S. Army soldier. He's a veteran. I think he did about 11-12 years in the Army, so appreciated his service. But his most recent job, upon, of course, before he was arrested, was at an elementary school here in Missouri. That one was actually in the Smithville School District. So yeah. Anyways, with that whole situation with him being in the school, when the school found out about the charges, him being arrested, the superintendent had sent out an email basically stating he was being charged with several heinous crimes, horrible crimes, and that he was placed on administrative leave, and that it had nothing to do with any Smithville staff or students, things like that. This was just like a him issue within the whole community. So of course, like I said, put him on administrative leave, and then while he was in jail, he eventually resigned from his teaching position. And I'm sure his teaching license has also been revoked. Something I learned was he was actually supposed to graduate from the University of Missouri St. Louis next May of 2024, because he had already had his bachelor's in something, I think behavioral things, but then he also was trying to get his master's in something else. And of course, he's not going to be able to do that now because of the choices that he made. So we're going to start digging into this case more and more. And I have here on my iPad, I have like a whole paragraph. Probably like enough to last me like a good novel. But anyways, basically what started is him and his wife had went to a pool party together. They'd both drunk some alcohol, but didn't ever seem like anything was like crazy. They of course were driving themselves back home, and while they were on the way home, his wife had caught him texting another woman, and then of course accused him of cheating because of what she had saw. This led to an argument, of course, in the car, and then as soon as they had arrived home, it began to become a domestic dispute. The wife had actually said there is a history of verbal abuse within their marriage, or even within their whole relationship. They also stated they've been married since 2018, so about a couple of years now, but verbal abuse is something that was normal within their relationship, that they had to come to, unfortunately. And so, of course, you know, she retrieved his phone and locked herself in the bathroom while he was asleep. And while she was looking through his phone, he had busted down the whole door, and she said that he had threw her in the bathtub about 5 to 6 times. Woods, of course, said that he never did that. He said he might have gained control. He did bust down the door to get to his phone, and he said he might have like pushed her or something to gain control of getting his phone back. But he denied any accusations of him throwing her in the bathtub. His wife's son, Joseph, had been called by his sister or someone else within the house to come help her and the mother because they had been in trouble. Of course, we already know what's going on. It's turning into a domestic dispute. This is getting physical and very serious. Eventually, it says that he had arrived with 2 to 3 friends of his. And by that time, he had gotten there. Woods had locked himself in his bedroom. So, you know, in his bedroom, he had like a bunch of different guns, things like that, casings, shellings, things like that, related with guns. So he had locked himself in the bathroom at this point, wasn't coming out, and he actually even told police before, of course, when I'm about to tell you what happened with Joseph, he grabbed a gun because he was worried that Joseph's family or even his wife's family that would get there before the police, so he wanted to defend himself in case that happened. But as I was saying, Joseph would yell for Woods to come out, and he even said, I'm gonna kill that motherfucker. Someone, I'm not sure who, one of the witnesses there, they said had started recording audio. So he was heard saying that to Woods and things like that. When he finally opened the door, Woods finally opened the door, he had started shooting at Joseph. We recently found out how many times he actually shot him. We were told he was shot about 5 times. Recently we figured out, per news sources who were things with the courts, everything like that, he shot his stepson a total of 10 times. And somewhere in his back. 10 times, that poor child. Let me just say, this child was 18 and he was shot 10 times by his stepdad. I mean, 5 times is just as bad, but 10 times, I mean, there's no excuse for that. Shouldn't have came out shooting, like, none of that. Just none. No. It was just uncalled for. And Woods had said that he had an accidental discharge because he was fumbling with the safety, which had caused him to shoot him. We also found out his wife was trying to shield her son from him. And like, as soon as he started shooting him, I think after the first or second shot, she had gotten on top of her son to shield him. So basically, if he shot, it would hit her, of course, and possibly even go through him. But basically, she was just doing what a mom would do in any situation their child was being attacked, or of course, in this case, shot at. She went to save her son. She went to risk her life to save her son. And so, of course, you know, Tia kept pulling her off of him, and then just kept shooting. And of course, after the 10 times, he finally stopped. His wife, of course, like I said, was also a victim in this case. She was shot about 4 times, is my guess. It never fully said how many times she was shot herself. But she was unfortunately shot in this as well. One of which she was running out the front door coming in the front door to check on her son to see what was going on, and she was shot through the front door by Woods himself. We heard from like actual courts, the mom came to the court in a wheelchair. She has injuries to both of her thighs, her right eye, and then her neck. It might show my left eye in this video, but it was her right eye, and her neck is where she has all of the injuries. So very strong woman. Can I just say that? Like, going through what she went through, she's trying to hold on, trying to get justice for her son. She risked her life to save her kid, which, like I said, any mother would do. So I just want to give a shout out to her because she's amazing for what she tried to do. She tried to help her son in any way she could. Police were eventually called and he was put into custody. The probable cause statements were made. Of course, most of this, you know, talking about what had happened with, you know, the party, how it started. Of course, like I told you guys, started an argument at home, started getting domestic, things like that. Had said some of the things that witnesses were saying. And basically in the statement, it had stated that all of the witnesses had the exact same story. What happened, where it was, how everything happened. It was just word for word. Not even word for word, but it was just basically the same story. Everything lined up with each other's stories. And there were 3 witnesses. So, I mean, that's 3v1. Either way, for all 3 witnesses that were there to have the same account of what happened, I mean, that's crazy. That doesn't always happen, because there's always usually just one witness. So thankfully there was that many witnesses that could say what happened. Let's see here. Detectives, like I said, found that all of the witness stories matched up with one another's. Since being charged, his bond was posted at $1 million, cash only, no card, just cash. He had recently asked for a bond reduction hearing, which he got on October 2nd of this year, so just about a couple of days ago. And yeah, of course, his bond hearing they had at about 1:30, he was denied. And the reasoning that he wanted the bond reduction was because he wanted to go home. which, mind you, is also the same home in which the wife was, of course, living with him. What upsets me about how he said that is because, first of all, I'm sure you want to go home just as much as that 18-year-old kid wanted to make it home and wanted his mom to make it home safely. The reason the friends were there is because they were trying to get the mom to leave with all of them and her son so they could all go to a safe place. So the mom could be fine, they could get out of this and maybe figure something out later, possibly file for divorce, just things like that. And of course, that's when tragedy happened. And he also told them he was not able to pay his bond. So it's still standing on $1 million bond, cash only. So until someone decides to pay that, he's sitting in jail. And I highly doubt that anyone is going to pay that. He is claiming that the stepson Joseph had a knife and had cited he was trying to defend himself. So he was trying to cite that it was self-defense. The mother and the daughter, who were witnesses there, both said the knife belonged to Woods. And Woods actually got to ask the detective a pretty important question. That question happened to be, has there been any fingerprinting or DNA done on the knife? In which the detective said not yet. It makes me worried that he would ask that. I don't know if he's asking that to maybe help him try to get out of the situation he's in and possibly not get a first-degree murder charge. But it's also a question that I would raise an eyebrow at, because why are you worried about that? Unless you might have something to hide. So, I don't know if the knife belonged to him. Unless there's fingerprints on it, it's gonna be that he also had that. I mean, if it belongs to him, it's gonna be either on himself or it's gonna be within his house. So, I mean, citing that it was self-defense is kind of crazy to me, because even if it was self-defense, actually 10 times is a bit excessive for self-defense, in which you also killed a child. So it just sounds like a bunch of BS to me. Of course, like I said, the mother and the sister denied that. He has since learned, we've learned, he's since been trying to contact his wife while in prison, in which they told the courts that, and they even told the court that they had to block the jail's number because he was calling her daily. I mean, this is crazy. Why are you trying to call her? Because first of all, she's a victim in the case. She's a plaintiff. You're a defendant. I mean, you're not a victim. You're the suspect. So first of all, you shouldn't even be talking with her, because that could literally be tampering with the case. Secondly, everything was recorded on a prison phone call. So anything you say, they're gonna have and could even use against you in the court. So he's just stupid all around. I mean, not making any smart decisions for himself whatsoever, and is just making it worse for himself. And yeah, like I said, blocked the jail's phone number. He had told detectives about a case in December of 2016, which involved the victim's father, in which he shot him, and he told them it was self-defense. It was something to do, I guess, at another residence, of course, with something about like a custody situation. This is the ex-husband, of course, of Woods' wife. This is the husband she used to have before she had met Woods. And of course, this is Joseph's father, in which Joseph was the boy unfortunately killed. His father survived, and they agreed that they said it was self-defense, and so Woods was never charged back in the shooting of 2016. And the only thing we know about that is that there is a civil lawsuit, but we do not know too much about that right now, so I will even give an update on that when I know more about it. Let's see. Like I said, as soon as I find out more information as the case goes on, I'll be providing more updates. Mother was shot multiple times, had injuries, was seen in court. But however, he has since pleaded not guilty. So, I mean, Woods is saying that he's not guilty of this crime, which I highly doubt that. But we will see for ourselves. Hopefully justice will be served for Joseph, because like I said, this is a very unfortunate case. It shouldn't have come to this. I mean, Woods could have handled it better in any simple way. Like, it should have just been, yes, I did this while texting the other girl and things like that, or even just, let's talk about this tomorrow. But the fact that you led it to a domestic violence case and then now it's a murder case. So I mean, he just made it worse for himself all around, and that's his fault. I mean, he's in his mid-40s, so I mean, he knows what he's doing. He's not stupid. He's not making a careless mistake. I mean, he did this with intent. He knew what he was doing. He's not stupid. So of course, like I said earlier, we wait for any further updates. His next hearing will be October 10th for a docket call and public defendant determination. He is currently being represented by a public attorney in, of course, the state of Missouri, like I said. And so, yeah, I'm gonna wait for any further updates on this case. Of course, there is a preliminary hearing November 3rd, which is basically, in case you don't know what it is, I just recently learned this myself. It is actually a hearing in which everyone decides that, is there enough evidence for this to go to trial? And if so, then Woods will go to trial, which will most likely happen sometime next year. I'm not sure when, of course, because it could take a little while, unfortunately. But they will take him to a trial in which he will be charged if found guilty. And there's, in the state of Missouri, it could, of course, be a regular trial. You either find out if they're guilty or they're not guilty. Second thing is they can say, okay, this happened, like, let's say they try to label it as self-defense like they did the last one, then they can actually lower his felonies down to a lower felony. However, it doesn't matter. This case is like being televised in Missouri here on the news stations and things like that. So I mean, he's a felony. Most felons, it's hard for them to get a job as is, but especially knowing with what he did, his oh my goodness, his teaching license will be revoked, of course. He will never be able to teach in a school again, and he will probably have a hard time getting a job for the rest of his life. Therefore, he will be unemployed. So, I mean, once again, just a little word of advice for anyone watching on here. Be careful of the decisions you make, because these are the consequences of his decisions. Like I said, you're mid-40s. You should already know right from wrong, and you do know right from wrong. So, anything that is happening to you right now, you fully deserve. So, yeah. And of course, like I said, if they, or the case gets dismissed is the third option, but that's of course not going to happen. He can ask for a speedy trial, things like that, but he hasn't asked for one yet. So of course, if he goes to trial, then we'll have a lot more updates on this, but until I find any further updates, we're going to end that video here. Like I said, this is a horrible tragedy. I feel bad for Joseph that he had to lose his life in such a way, but he is such a hero for trying to save his mother and his sister from harm, because I mean, you got to be strong as hell to go against like a mid-40s guy who, let me tell you, he's pretty big. Like, he's bulky, he's got big arms, everything. I mean, he's been like that his whole life, ever since I knew him as a teacher. He could be intimidating to some, but you know, like I said, send prayers to his family, sending prayers to the mom, hoping that she's gonna keep on doing a good recovery for herself. And like I said, hopefully justice will be served within this case, and any further updates I will be updating up here on YouTube. So yeah, I will see you guys in my next video, and I will see you guys later. Bye.